Hello everyone, welcome back to the lecture series on semiconductor and semiconductor devices. I am Dr. Atasi Rai, Assistant Professor of Physics, Department of Humanities and Science, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So today I will discuss about Hall effect. I'll go through what is Hall effect, then expression for Hall coefficient, then expression for Hall voltage, then few applications of Hall coefficient. What is Hall effect? Whenever a current carrying conductor or semiconductor is placed in a transverse magnetic field, that time another electric field will be produced inside the semiconductor or metal whose direction is perpendicular to the direction of the applied magnetic field and also the current. So here let us consider a current carrying slab. So here this slab, the current direction is along x-axis. So the current is flowing along x-axis and we told that it is placed in a transverse magnetic field. That means the direction of magnetic field is perpendicular to the direction of the current. So we have applied the magnetic field along z direction. According to the definition of this Hall effect, another electric field will be developed inside this sample whose direction will be perpendicular to both the magnetic field and the current. That's why this direction of this produced electric field will be along the y-axis, which is perpendicular to both x-axis and z-axis. So here another field which is known as Hall field, it will be developed along the y-axis. Let's go in details. So here we are considering one current carrying slab which is placed inside a magnetic field. So the magnetic flux is along z-axis and the current is flowing along x-axis. So whenever we are considering electrons placed inside this particular metal or semiconductor, that time as that electron is subjected to an external magnetic field which is along z-axis, that's why some force will be acting on the electron. That force is known as Lorentz force. What is the magnitude of Lorentz force? The magnitude of Lorentz force is F is equal to Q into V cross B. So here velocity and the magnetic field both are vector quantities. So here we will do the cross product. And what is the charge of electron? It is minus E. And the electrons will be moving along the negative x-axis. That's why the velocity of the electron can be represented as the drift velocity. That's why we are representing it as Vdx, which is along x-axis, negative x-axis. So it will be minus Vdx cross B. B is magnetic field is along z-axis. So it is Bz. And the cross product of V cross B, it is x cross z. So it will be minus y cap. So here the magnitude of the Lorentz force will be equal to minus E into Vdx into Bz. So this will be the magnitude of the Lorentz force for the electrons. Now we will see what is the direction of this Lorentz force. So if we will apply Fleming's left hand rules and we will place all our fingers perpendicular to each other, here if our thumb represents the force, then this finger represents the direction of the magnetic field and this finger represents the direction of the current. So applying this Fleming's left hand rule, we can see the direction of these electrons here. And here using that rule, the direction of this Lorentz force will be along negative y-axis. So this is the magnitude of the Lorentz force and the direction of the Lorentz force will be along negative y-axis. As a result of this Lorentz force, what will happen? All the electrons will be driven towards the bottom part of this semiconductor or metal. So all the negative charges will be accumulated at the bottom. And similarly, what will happen if we will consider the holes which are the positive charge carriers? So that Lorentz force will drive the positive charge carriers to the top of the semiconductor or metal. So in the result, what will happen? All the positive charges will accumulated at the top and the negative charges will be accumulated at the bottom. In result of that, one field will be developed inside the particular sample, so which is known as the Hall field, and this Hall field will be in the direction of negative y. That will be along y direction and it will be along negative y direction. And this Hall field will give rise to a voltage which is known as Hall voltage, and that Hall voltage will be developed between the top and the bottom of this sample. So, as we are subjecting some current carrying conductor or semiconductor inside a transverse magnetic field, and in result of that we are getting some electric field. That's why whatever is the force applied to the semiconductor, which was equal to the Lorentz force, it will be equal to the force which is exerted on the charged particle due to the electric field which is produced. That is the force due to the Hall field. So, the force due to the Hall field will be equal to E into EH, which will be equal to E into VDX into VZ. And we can express this in terms of current density. We know the current density Jx is equal to Ne into Vdx. This x stands the direction of this current density. So, current density is Ne into drift velocity. Vdx is the drift velocity. Vd is the drift velocity of electrons. This is the drift velocity. Now, this drift velocity can be written as Jx by Ne. Substituting this equation in, this is our equation 1. Substituting equation 2 in equation 1, we will get E into EH is equal to E into Jx Bz by Ne. So, E will be cancelled in both the sides. So, we will get the value of EH will be equal to Jx into Bz by Ne. This is the value of Hall field in terms of the current density, magnetic field, and N is the number density and E is the charge of electron. And we know that this Hall field will be developed along the negative y direction. That's why EH is equal to minus EY. So, we can write this minus EY is Jx into Bz by Ne. So, we can develop one particular parameter from this equation. This is equation 4. So, from equation 4, we can write minus 1 by Ne is equal to Ey by Jx into Bz. So, this minus 1 by Ne is introduced as RH, and which is known as Hall coefficient. Hall coefficient. So, the value of RH is Ey into Jx into Bz. So, this is the value of RH. And from this equation, we can see RH is equal to minus 1 by Ne. So, this RH is inversely proportional to the carrier concentration, as E is the charge of electron and it is a constant which is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. That's why this value of the Hall coefficients is inversely proportional to the carrier concentration. N is known as the carrier concentration or the number density of electrons, and this RH is the measure of Hall effect. Now, let's derive an expression for the Hall voltage. If B is the width of the sample across which Hall voltage is measured, then this Hall field can be expressed as Hall voltage divided by the width. So, it will be EH will be equal to VH by B. From this equation, we know that RH is equal to EH by Bz into Jx. So, we can just replace this EH by VH by B. So, we will get the value of RH is equal to VH by Bz Jx into B. This is the expression of this Hall coefficient in terms of Hall voltage, magnetic field, current density and the width of the slab. And also from this equation, we can find the expression for Hall voltage. So the Hall voltage will be equal to RH into Bz into Jx into B. This is the expression for Hall voltage in terms of current density. Again, what is current density? Current density is current passing through unit area. If T is the thickness of the semiconductor or metal, then we can express this current density as current per unit area. So that area will be width into thickness. So we can write Jx is equal to Ix by B into T. So this Hall voltage can be expressed as RH into Ix into Bz divided by T. Just we need to substitute this value of Jx as Ix by Bt in this equation. So from the expression of Hall voltage in terms of Hall coefficient, current, magnetic flux and the thickness of the slab, we can express this Hall coefficient in terms of the Hall voltage, thickness and current and magnetic field. So here this Hall coefficient is written in terms of Hall voltage and current density, and this expression is in terms of Hall voltage and the current. So now let us see some applications of this Hall coefficient. Why this is so much important? So first point is we can determine whether the material is P-type or N-type. If RH value is positive, then the material will be a P-type semiconductor. If we are getting a negative value of the RH, then that material will be a N-type semiconductor. Again, the next we can determine whether the material is a conductor, semiconductor or insulator. So in this expression, we can see RH is inversely proportional to the current. So it is VHT by Ix into Bz. So as I told, RH will be inversely proportional to the current. So for conductors, this current value will be more. As conductors are good carrier of electricity, the current value will be more. That's why as denominator is a large quantity, we will get a small value of this RH. That's why if RH is small, we can say that that material is a conductor. If we are considering some semiconductor, then we will get a intermediate value of this current. That's why we will get a small value of current. That's why here this RH value will be large. As the denominator is a small quantity, that's why we will get RH as a large value. That's why if RH is large, we can say that particular material is a semiconductor. Again, for insulator, the current is 0. This is 0 for insulators. That's why as the denominator will be equal to 0, the total term will be infinite. So for insulators, this value of RH will be infinite. Again, we can determine the carrier concentration from the value of the Hall coefficient. So from the definition of the Hall coefficient, we know that RH is equal to minus 1 over Ne. That means N is the number density. We can express this number density N is equal to minus 1 over E into RH. So if we know the value of the Hall coefficient, so charge of electron we already know. That's why we can find out the number density of electrons. But if we are considering holes, we are considering holes. For holes, this RH value will be equal to 1 over Ne. So for electrons, RH is 1 over N minus 1 over Ne, but for holes, RH is 1 over Ne. It will have a positive value. That's why this number of holes here, this is the number density of holes. So I can write as NH into E. NH is the number density of the holes. So we can write the number density of holes as 1 over E into RH. So we can also find the carrier concentration of holes if we know the value of the Hall coefficient. So we can also determine the mobility of the charge carriers. We know that relation between the conductivity and mobility is sigma is equal to Ne into mu. Sigma is the conductivity, N is the carrier concentration or number density, E is the charge and mu is the mobility. So from this expression we can write mu E is equal to sigma E by Ne. As we are considering the electrons, that's why we are giving the subscript as E. This is for electrons, mobility of electrons. So this 1 over Ne will be minus RH because RH was minus 1 by Ne. RH is minus 1 over Ne. That's why 1 over Ne will be equal to RH. So we can write this mobility of electrons will be minus sigma E into RH. So if we are considering holes, for holes, what will be the value of this mobility? For holes, the value of the Hall coefficient RH will be equal to 1 over Ne. For electrons, it is minus 1 by Ne. For holes, it will be plus 1 by Ne. That's why here I can represent it as NH. For holes, I am taking the number density. That's why I am taking the number density of holes into the charge. That's why the carrier concentration of holes will be equal to mH is equal to sigma H by Ne. So 1 over Ne will be RH here. For electrons, 1 over Ne is minus RH. For holes, 1 over Ne is plus RH. That's why this will be the expression of the mobility of holes in terms of the conductivity and the Hall coefficient. So, if the value of the conductivity and Hall coefficient will be given, then we can find the mobility. Also, if the value of mobility and Hall coefficient will be given, we can determine the conductivity of the particular charge carriers. Also, from this we can find the resistivity. So, resistivity can also be found from this expression. Resistivity is represented as rho. It will be the reverse of conductivity. So, if we can find the value of conductivity from this equation, we can also find the resistivity. At last, we can determine the magnetic flux density. So, already we have defined this Hall coefficient as Vh into T by I into B. So, B is nothing but the flux density. So, this B can be expressed as Vh into T by I into RH. So, if the value of the Hall coefficient, Hall voltage, thickness of the slab and the current will be given, we can easily find out the value of magnetic flux density. So, these are all the things we can derive from the Hall coefficient value. So, today I have discussed about Hall effect, which is whenever we are placing a current carrying conductor in a transverse magnetic field, that time one electric field will be developed across the conductor or semiconductor. So, I am just connecting with some external power supply. Then the current will be along x-axis and B is along z-axis. So, I am denoting as Bz. That time another electric field will be developed, for which one voltage will be developed, which is known as Hall voltage, and the direction of this Hall voltage will be along y-axis. So, this is Hall effect. Then we have found the expression for the Hall coefficient, which is equal to minus 1 over Ne for electrons and RH is equal to 1 over Ne for holes, and we have derived the expression of Hall coefficient in terms of electric field, Hall voltage, and in terms of current density and also in terms of current. So, lot of expressions we have derived. And then after we have derived one expression for the Hall voltage VH, and we discussed about different applications of the Hall coefficient, how we can divide any material into conductor, semiconductor, insulator. If Hall coefficient is large, then it will be a semiconductor. If it is small, then it will be a conductor. And if it is infinity, then it is an insulator. Also, we discussed that if RH is positive, then in a semiconductor we can say this is a p-type semiconductor, and if it is negative, then it is a n-type semiconductor. Also, we can find the value of mobility and conductivity and the resistivity if we know the Hall coefficients. So this is all about this lecture. Thank you.